What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Joe Budden has released his first Drake diss titled Making a Murderer Part 1. The record itself seems planned. I know Joe was kind of going off and talking about how he was going to go at Meek Mill. And on this record, he really doesn't reference Meek at all. Aside from a little part in the intro. Other than that, this record is firmly aimed at Drake. He calls him out by name. He goes at him hard in traditional Joe Budden rap beef style. That's how Joe Budden is. But like I said, I feel like this record was planned. It wasn't something that he was like, okay, I'm going to drop this out of the sky. I recorded this last night. No, I think he had this at least for, a couple weeks. Because he's dropping a project with A-Rap Music called Rage Against the Machine. They just put out a single with Fabulous and Tory Lanez earlier. And then you got this diss record produced by A-Rap Music. Did I mention that? So it kind of feels like everything is part of this puzzle. And Joe Budden, he is a true MC when it comes to rap beef. He's gone with some of the best of them and kept up with some of the best of them. Has some really good diss records. My personal favorite, I think, just off the top of my head, is probably Ransom Note from the days when he was going with Ransom. I really love that. Getting into this record, it's a long record. It's over 6 minutes. And for an opening round, it's just way too much. I think if you're going to go at someone and this is the first diss record that you're going at, you just kind of hit them, a light jab. Joe Budden really tried to go in. And there are some really good lines on here, some hard-hitting ones, but then there's a lot of corny lines. The one about the Five Guys, being signed to Five Guys that makes you a burger. And then Joe Budden laughs like that's supposed to be funny or like that's clever or anything. It's really not. It was a sad bar. It was awful. And then he says either Jimmy Acton or he really missed a wheelchair. It's little lines like that that should have been just cut out entirely. He could have had a more hard-hitting diss if he had cut out the filler and kept the killer. Because most of the time, going 6 minutes is not going to work for a lot of artists. Some of the best diss records in history are under, 5 minutes. A lot of them are, Ether, The Takeover, all the stuff that Tupac said. The list goes on and on. But there are like a few artists that in the past have been able to go past the 6 minute mark and really this has replay value. Ice Cube, The Game with 300 bars and running, Royce the 5'9" when he was going at Mr. Fab. Like these were entertaining disses that, went past that 6 minute mark. Once you get past that mark, it feels like the replay value just diminishes. Because how many people are honestly going to play this record over and over again? In this day and age, we hear something and then we're like, oh, this line was cool. And then we move on to the next thing. We're waiting for Drake and Meek Mill to respond. And what he says a lot of really good lines, clever ones on Making a Murderer Part 1. And I'm not going to highlight every single one of them, but I wanted to highlight one in particular. He said, I kill a gram without weighing a thing. Kill a gram. Aubrey Graham. That's a clever line. Because if you don't listen and look for it, then you might miss it. But that's one of the things that Joe Budden has always been good at, is coming up with some clever lines. And then the lines about Jay-Z being Red Reddington from The Blacklist was pretty accurate. What he means is like Jay-Z is a guy behind the scenes kind of pulling the strings. That's what Red was in The Blacklist, or what he is, he's still very much alive in the series. And, kind of like Red in the show, Jay pops up a few times publicly to go at Drake. And then there's the line directly after that was, Sean, I don't work for you, but I'm still doing the work for you. Now that's a jab at Meek Mill, because there's been rumors, and nothing is obviously concrete, but there's rumors that when Meek Mill went at Drake, the whole reasoning behind it was kind of Jay-Z kind of put that battery in his back to go at him and do that. It's never been confirmed. It's just one of those internet folklore rumors, and it does kind of make sense when you really break it down. But it's also, like I said, it's a jab at Meek Mill because Meek didn't get the job done. And slowly but surely, Jay has kind of came out, to throw the shots, and now you got Joe Budden doing it. So Joe Budden saying, I'll kill him for you. I'll do it, even though I don't work for you anymore. Um, Overall, though, this is an underwhelming diss. I think there's a few good lines on here, but the bad lines outweigh it. The length hinders the replay value of it. This is not gonna be, when Ice Cube dissed NWA. It's not one of those situations where we're gonna just play this record over and over again. And it's billed as part one, so part two is likely going to tackle Meek Mill. He was on Twitter saying, Meek's about to die twice. Referring to Drake killing Meek, and now Joe is going to go at Meek. And then Meek also responded on Instagram with a couple of lines that may or may not be for an upcoming diss. And then you have Drake, who hasn't said a word about it, but one of the many OVO people, Noel, or Noel, whatever, however you want to say, I don't know, but I don't know what he does within OVO. But he posted like a picture of some studio stuff, and there's speculation maybe that Drake's gonna respond. I mean, OVO Sound Radio is on Saturday, July 2nd. This will either be the start of something incredible, like a back and forth incredible, or it's gonna just be disappointing, and everybody's gonna look in their different directions, and Joe Budden's just gonna look thirsty for attention. I'm hoping that Meek and Drake actually respond. I think it would be interesting just to see like this go back and forth, because I know Joe has more in him, but at the same time I know that this is going to, popularity wise, let Drake and Meek win, because there's no way popularity wise that Joe Budden can win. And Drake is going to probably come back with some record that sounds good on the radio. He's going to do what he did to Meek Mill with Back to Back, but he's going to do it to Joe Budden and throw in a couple lines here and there. So that's my take on Making a Murderer Part 1. Look out for Part 2. Look out for Meek's response, Drake's response, whatever. I'll keep you covered on the channel. Let me know what you think about Joe Budden's diss to Drake, Jay-Z, and to a lesser extent Meek Mill. Let me know in the comment section below, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SermonsDomain, and as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, peace.